Well, hello again, everyone. We're back together so soon. We're back together so soon. Well, that's a treat for me. I don't know if it's a treat for you. I think it's a treat for you. I hope. Uh, have a special conversation to share with you that I think is really worth your time, and that's a conversation I had with Robert Reese right after I hung up the phone, or the phone right after I hung up the live with you this morning. I had a conversation with Robert Reese that just has to be streamed on my channel. Whoever sees it, if nobody sees it, even if nobody but me sees it, again, uh, it does have to be seen because we talked about the things that matter. And start off with a little bit of music while people are logging in. I don't give much notice on these things, but here you come, and we'll be getting started in just a minute. Welcome everybody. Thanks for stopping in again. Oh yeah, that was Ryan Black playing a demo from when he was 18 years old. That was 11 years ago. He's no longer 18, but he still is my kid, and I'm still very proud of him. Next up, we got my buddy Jesse Jett, who's going to play a song called "Powerless." It's the theme song to my work on Full Dash Closure. I love this song. I found it after I had started the project, and I heard Jesse sing the words that they would uh, pay you by the hour for a minute or so. And I said, man, that guy has been in my dreams. He gets it. They want to fractionalize us, pay us by the hour, but only for a couple minutes here and there as we're convenient and as they rain down their piss upon us. So let's listen to Jesse Jett talk about powerless. And of course, the point of this song is that we are anything but powerless. Take it away, Jesse Jett.
They'll gladly pay you by the hour for a minute or so, so you can sign off on the towers where they'll piss on your home. And if you feel like you're just powerless to answer them no, it's 'cause you are. They'll gladly pay you by the hour for a minute or so, so you can sign off on the towers where they'll piss on your home. And if you feel like you're just powerless to answer them no, it's 'cause you are. It's 'cause you are. They'll gladly stagnate a living wage, snap the chains, bury it. Labor slaves in rusty cages dragged behind a chariot, led by Mr. Racial Jungle, Joseph or Iscariot, fighting over scraps as they barrage us all with variants and BuzzFeed clickbait, straight until we're paralyzed, trying to distract us from the concentration camps that Joe had swore he'd close but only chose to amplify, where they got 50-something kids in cages made for 5 to occupy. And no, she hasn't seen the camps, but Harris swears they're paradise. She tells us the facilities are safe, and that right down to the women, they are regularly sterilized. Then she throws her head back and she proceeds to laugh, that sort of heartless cackle you'd expect from someone working steadfastly on behalf of the virus and a Congress full of parasites. And where was I? I was busy cashing every blue check, demonstrating plainly all the narratives expected from the verified. I was busy breeding verbal leeches by the terabyte, train them to exsanguinate the wealthy while they sleep at night, bleed the oil barons dry and barren, say they showed us how to share and now we share alike. Tell them I contracted rabies from a feral mic. Now I'm just another species losing sleep to noise pollution and these glaring lights, forced to change its habits and adapt to just survive. But now it's safe to say that some of us are thriving in the moment, throwing shit on presidential homes beneath the Paris skies. So if you feel like you're just powerless, I guess you bought the lie. But I can tell they're petrified of our collective might, 'cause I can hear those gentrifiers weeping at the sight of our collective rights. And I only can imagine the intensifying fear of knowing revolution's near, and all that's left to do is simply wallow in the thick anticipation of a rabid bite. And baby, one day you can ask your leaders just what that was like before you grab a slice. So if you think you're powerless, allow me now to change your mind. Honey, if you think you're powerless, allow me now to change your mind. See, they'll pay you hourly, tax them each apart, and build a shining tower out of loopholes and cards, and tell you that you're powerless to keep you in the dark, because you aren't, because we aren't. You see, they'll pay you hourly, tax them each apart, and make you build a shining tower out of loopholes and cards, where they'll tell you that you're powerless to keep you in the dark, because you aren't, because we aren't.
Before Shopify, were you wondering, where are my sales at? But now you're selling with Shopify.
Here I am. We're back. Everything's fine. So I am going to start here a conversation that I had just today, just a short while ago, with Robert Reese, uh, because he did a profound thing. He stopped a person who was in the process of destroying their lives with drunk driving last night, I think it was. And there's been a lot of controversy about whether he did the right thing or not. Was he being a good citizen, or should he have done something different? And we had a fabulous and wonderful and long, wide-ranging conversation that I think is very important and absolutely worth sharing. And it was on his channel. Now I'm going to share it on mine. Robert is a working man, and Robert broadcasts his show directly from his vehicle while he is working. And so there are moments when the audio may be compromised slightly or less than perfect quality. I hope you'll bear with that. There's moments when he disappears off the screen because he's doing deliveries while he's talking with me, and I hope you'll bear with that. I think if you do, you're going to find out you have a conversation here that you're going to learn something with and from. And even listening back to it, this is a product of my present moment talking with Robert, and it's a meaningful conversation. Hearing it back even a little bit myself feels profound, because the things we're talking about here matter so very much to each and every one of us. So I hope you'll join us in the conversation. I hope you'll watch this, and we will see where this goes. This is going to be a 2-hour conversation. I'm telling you, it's a good one. You're gonna like it. And if you have to divide it up into multiple parts, I understand that many of you have more important things going on than sitting around listening to me and or Robert talk all day. Or do you? I don't know. I don't know. It probably depends upon what you get out of it. Probably depends upon what you get out of what you're doing, whether it's worth it or not. I hope it is. I think it is. It's my theory, and I'm sticking to it. Let's check this out. I'm going to go away, but I'm going to appear over there with Robert. It's going to be magic.
If you have seen, oh, Jeff Thomas Black is here. I see him. My fault. I didn't even see my thing there. This is an
There ain't no
open link.
hurry. There ain't no hurry.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
on a roll, brother.
All right. So people, Jeff is here, and Jeff obviously saw the clip.
I did.
He saw the clip, people. Now I was telling people, Jeff, that I was not able.
I think I wrote a comment,
Yeah.
Something to the fact that we have to take care of each other, and that's what you did.
Yes, because look, people, if it was about other things, I would have turned the camera to face him doing all that stuff. I was on the phone with dispatch. I was worried about this dude. So, people said that, oh, Reese, you're a snitch. Look at what you're doing and all that stuff. I'm just saying, you got to look at the situation. He could be dead. And, go ahead, Jeff.
Robert, that my writing for years preceding meeting you in the gig economy was about police accountability, and I happen to be a personal advocate for families of victims of police murder. So if you're looking for somebody to maybe be objective about what cops are and are not, that would be me. And so when I watched that initially too, one of my first feelings as a human being and somebody who's very skeptical of police accountability because they don't have any, is, well, shit, I hate to see the cops grab this guy, but here's the problem. We live in a society, we live in a community, and if Robert doesn't help this gentleman immediately, he's going to potentially kill himself and your mom. or your kid or you. And so in a society, not only do we have to take care of people who aren't taking very good care of themselves right now because they're not capable of doing that, not because they're horrible people and need to be exterminated, just because they're human beings like we are, and we happen to be catching them at a very, very bad moment in their life when they're very confused, maybe they're addicted, maybe they're in grief. We don't know what kind of problems this man has, but this man that Robert came upon has one shit ton of problems, and he just got more of them. But one thing he's not is dead, and one thing he didn't do was kill somebody else last night. Thank you, Robert.
And that's the craziest thing, because what had me notice him, the attention grabber, was I'm at the stoplight and I'm seeing a car with no lights on going a gazillion miles an hour behind me, and he hit the divider, the island, back then, and I said, "Oh, what's this guy doing?" When I saw that, my light turned green. So when I moved up, he got his car to move, and it did not crash into mine. I was almost, hit from the back and getting jacked up. So I was like, dang, what's going on with this car? So that made me have more interest.
This is what happens in Portland, Oregon all the time, where it's a very dangerous place to be a pedestrian, is that people get killed in crosswalks. People get killed driving their kids to school and doing errands because our society's in disarray. We have people in grief and loss and addiction driving around, not taking care of themselves. And so Robert's stepping up. Again, so to go to this police thing, do we have to call the police? Well, right now, in our present moment, the police are what we have. That is what we have for law enforcement. They are far from perfect. They happen to be the biggest, baddest gang on earth, but they're also, in our present moment, what we have to enforce our laws. And so I'm empathetic to that. But no, Robert's job last night, or it was the night before, but Robert's job upon coming upon this person who was about to kill himself or others was to keep this gentleman from killing himself or others. And sometimes we do have to separate people in that much trouble from us, so that they can survive to the next day and we can survive to the next day. And so that's not snitching, that's what we're doing. Now, here's the problem with police accountability for somebody who spent many years doing it, is that the police that do drunk driving point checks, when they get done, will give each other high fives, go out to the bar, get drunk, and drive home drunk. Okay, now what is that? That is the privilege of somebody who is a fascist and part of a gang who is above the law. And that's what fascists and gangs above the law do, is they enforce the laws upon us, then they go abuse them themselves. And so while Robert did what he had to do, he also didn't tell you that the reason he called the cops was that they're the only good guys on the planet. He called the cops because it was the only thing he could do. I guess that's how I process it, Robert. You don't have any other ways to help this man stay alive and to help your community members stay alive, so you did what you had to do, right? And I commend you for that. And then the other reality is that the people that we depend upon for law enforcement right now, we know, and the work that I've been doing the last few weeks on the con, we know selective enforcement. That
keep talking, Jeff. Jeff, keep talking. I'm going to drop this order off. Keep talking.
And we can't. I'll keep it going, Robert. So they're allowed to break the law, and we're not. And so that's where the problem comes in. And what we need, right? If you wanted to, so there was a movement during the George Floyd era, the COVID era of civil disobedience in the streets and protests and everything, of defund the police. Well, why didn't defund the police work as a strategy, if you will, for communities to rally behind this? Because you can't defund the police unless you have some type of law enforcement or some kind of stability in society to fill in that gap. And so people can't imagine what comes next if you defund the police, right? If you defund the police, then who does Robert call to keep this person who is suffering from addiction and disarray in their life right now? Who does Robert call to help this person and help separate this person from the rest of us so that they can recover? And I didn't say help separate the person from the rest of us because I hope it's just frankly throw him away and lock and throw him in prison and throw away the key for life. I think this person, like all of us, makes terrible mistakes and deserves a chance to recover and get their life back. And I hope that this gentleman does. You know, again, what we're talking about here is multiple things. We're talking about problems all humans have. We're talking about being accountable, and then we're talking about people who say that they are in charge of us and have the ability to be in government or carry weapons or enforce things that are above the law. So we need all of us within this same present moment circle of reality and law, and where we act like Robert does, and where I hope I act on a daily basis, because we take care of each other in the community. We're not looking to tear each other down or rat on each other. We're looking to keep each other alive.
Exactly. Just like now, we got someone in the comment section, just being stupid about the situation. Now the thing is, what if I was not being aware and alert to even me moving my car 6 inches? That 6 inches had him not hit my car. What if I was not being alert and then I get smacked up, and then the next video you see, there's a video of me in the ICU because this drunk driver just smacked the crap out of me.
Robert, I just finished a live broadcast, which the whole point of is that none of us are alert when we're absent, right? I mean, we're all being distracted by multiple things. And in my live, which I hope people will go watch when they're done with this one, my live a few minutes ago, I posted a piece of a community posting from the Stardashians. I bet you know the Stardashians on YouTube, Robert. They do a really good job of ride-alongs, and they have community, and people go in there, and I've gotten to know them. They popped into my chat, and I've gotten to know them and follow their stuff. Well, he posted last night on the community posting about a gentleman named Chris. Anybody can go to the Stardashians community post, and they're going to see this post from last night on Chris, whose mother just passed away. We're very sorry for your loss, Chris. May you rest in peace. And Chris got into a terrible accident while doing delivery jobs. Has now lost his car, his ability to drive, and has no income, and spent all his money burying his mom, and is now in a complete crisis looking for work. And we all would know what it might be like to look for work today when we're already broke. There's no time to find work and get paid when you're already broke. So Chris is in hell right now. Our buddy Chris is in hell, and the Stardashians are kind enough to do a fundraiser for him. Okay, but that's the framework. That, Robert, is that slavery. Because what happened to Chris is what will happen to all of us if we keep pulling the lever for corporate America. There's a reason corporate America doesn't want fleets of delivery vehicles and employees out there delivering, because what Robert does, and what I did, and what the Kardashians do, and what Chris does, and what Brian does, and what everybody else does, this is one of the most dangerous jobs in the world, which is playing the personal delivery role in the supply chain of an empire. You're out there playing bumper cars, and people are going to try and kill you. And if you look down for a minute, even if you're a great driver, you look down for a minute, somebody's going to fucking kill you, because that's how dangerous it is. That is the risk that we're taking for global corporation. And it's why, Robert, we can never win. It's why we can only win right now. Robert's a placeholder. Sam Lee's a placeholder. There are people that are making enough to keep their families alive doing it. But we're placeholders for what comes next when we take the larger share, like Jeff at Mike Barbecue is teaching us to do, like I've taught us to do. And Robert talks about it too, right? We know this is a transitional stage where right now we're getting robbed, but we need to figure out how to win this game. Right now we're down in a rigged game, but then we're down in a rigged game not because we're stupid, because this is what we have today. But it's not what we have tomorrow, and it's not what we're going to be allowed to have tomorrow, because they're starving us out. What happened to Brian, who no longer has a car or the ability to drive, is what happened to Chris, who no longer has the car and ability to drive, and what happened to me when I was an athlete, who no longer had a car or ability to drive. This is the path, right? And the reason we know this as absolute incontrovertible fact is that if there were money to be made on doing the function we're doing, it wouldn't be outsourced to us. There would be global corporations doing it and making money, right? The reason it's outsourced to us is this is a losing proposition. Okay.
Right.
Now, in the short term, it's all we have. But in the short term, cops are all we have. Do we have a better alternative than a gang who murders people? I absolutely think we have better alternatives for public safety, Robert, than a gang in blue who kills people as their primary function and is the monopoly on violence in an empire as their primary function. We can do better for public safety. We don't need gangsters to make us safe, and they don't. Okay, but they do some other functions too. That same gangster who will gun you down might also take the cat out of your tree or collect the drunk driver that you stop. Remember, Hop didn't stop this guy. Robert did. Who stops crime? Robert does. Do cops stop crime? Nope. They clean up the mess. Robert stops crime. The cops clean up the fucking mess, and that's usually the way it is. When the police shows up, it's all over. They clean up the mess. Am I wrong, Robert? Am I wrong, or am I right?
No, you're not wrong at all. You're not wrong at all. And
I live for this stuff, brother, and I know you do too, because we're both black men. We're both black men. Okay, I'm a different kind of a black guy, but I was born a poor black child, just like Steve Martin. And my life is in civil rights. Everything I've ever done is based on civil rights. And Robert and I connected on day fucking one because Robert knows civil rights. Why does he know it? Because he's lived it. Look at him. Robert is civil rights on a screen. That's what he is. That's what he is to me anyway. That's what you are to me, Robert. You're civil rights on a screen. That's why I liked you the first day I met you. Because you believe in equality for all people. I know you do. I feel it. I know it. I see it. I hear it.
Oh yeah, and now people, that bumper car thing, that is the bumper cars thing that's exactly what it looked like. It looked like I was watching him go bouncing off and doing like playing bumper bowling, bumper boats inside the water.
I made mistakes too. I was bumper cars. We're all drunk when we're looking at gig apps. We're all drunk when we're distracted and paying attention to a million things, right? And so any corporation that cared about our life and liberty and wellness would not send us notifications while our vehicle was in motion. And I wrote in my book, they have the technology, and they've always had the technology to make sure that we don't get notifications while our vehicle's in motion. Do they do that? No, they don't. They send us notification after notification while our vehicle's in motion because they don't care if we live or die. They just want to pug the shit out of us so we do what they want us to do. That's harassment, Robert. That's not a business. That's harassment. They're psychologically harassing you while you're trying to survive, and they're trying to get you killed because they'd rather harass you than keep you alive. That's what app slavery is. That's what I'm trying to tell people. There is no way to do this safely because it's designed to be unsafe.
It was nuts. Like, it was, everything went so fast when it happened, but I just knew to stay course. and then do what I thought that I had to do, what was right. Now, like I said, I don't know if this was his third DUI going on his fourth, his
Not your
second
problem.
going on his third. I don't know.
Not your
You
problem.
know,
But that's that, Robert. What you did is the perfect example of right action in the present moment. You were in the present moment. You had to take right action, not because you planned it or thought about it or anything else, but you were faced with a situation and you did what you had to do in the present moment, which is what all of us do. Which is why worrying about the next time we come about on a drunken driver does no good. Independent action, right action in the present moment upon coming out on a drunk driver does good, but thinking about it doesn't do any good. Remembering how we did it in the past doesn't do any good. It only does good when we do it in the present moment. That's everything that we do because only our present moment exists. And so the thinking, I'm asking people to think differently, Robert, about what they see and what they do, to think about the bigger picture of what it means to do this function in society and where they are as an app slave, where they are in this function, because it's very clear that the people that are compelling us to do this through corporate fascism don't have our best interests and safety at heart. They don't have our ability to bury our mom at heart. They don't have our ability to take care of our pet who is sick and dying at heart. They don't have our ability to clothe and feed our kids at heart. They don't care if any of these things are possible using us, even if we can't, and using us and using us. Well, we've been used to the point, Robert, where most of us don't have anything left. Robert lives in California in a very densely populated, high wealth, vital economy in which app slavery is potentially economically viable. He also works as a team with his wife doing that. He does it very strategically, very, very strategically. He's been doing this game for a very long time. If you think you can pull off what Robert and his wife are doing, you're fucking wrong. You're just wrong. I'm sorry. I'm trying to swear less, Robert, because I want the audience to be able to hear me and not see me as a foul-mouthed old man. I'm a foul-mouthed old man at heart is what I am, is I'm a foul-mouthed old street fighting man. And I'm here to foul-mouthed street fight with you, is that I want people to survive, Robert. I desperately want people to survive. And that's the point of the Full Dash Closure Project, is that I, as a father of a 29-year-old and a 23-year-old, desperately want humanity to survive. I don't care so much if I survive or not. I've had a wonderful 56 years, and I love the heck out of what I do. And I do it for every reason in the world besides money, because money is, in fact, the root of all evil. And I can prove that to you 1,000 different ways. It's a medium of exchange. If you think money is important, it's because you don't know what it is. Robert knows money's not important because he's lost a son. All I could see, this is the thing about being old and being me, is I already know how to go to somebody's heart. I freaking know what matters because I've lost a lot too. I'm 56 years old. So when money matters or not, here's the thing. So this Oregon t-shirt I'm wearing, right? It's product of Uncle Phil. Uncle Phil is Phil Knight, the founder of Nike, Oregon's really only successful global consumer corporation. We have very little business out here, but Uncle Phil went to University of Oregon, and Uncle Phil Knight has given the University of Oregon hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars to become a sports powerhouse. Okay, well, guess what? Do you want to be Uncle Phil, Robert? I don't. You want to know why I don't want to be Uncle Phil? Because there's only one reason, and one reason alone was enough to make me never want to be Uncle Phil. And it's not because I don't agree with his politics, which I don't, or I don't agree with his lifestyle, which I don't. There's one reason I don't want to be Uncle Phil. You know why? Because Matt Court, and not Matt Court, which it was when I went there, which was stood for MacArthur Court, where they play basketball. Matt Court stands for Matt Knight. Do you know who Matt Knight was? Matt Knight was Phil Knight's son who died of cancer. At any price, sir, I do not want my son to die. At any price, at all prices, at the price of my life, I want my kids alive. Therefore, is it worthwhile to be the richest man in Oregon history, one of the richest men in the world, and a billionaire named Phil Knight? No, I'm not interested. Thank you very much, because my son's alive. I don't need a basketball court at the University of Oregon named after my son. I need my son. You see the difference, Robert? I know.
Yeah, big difference.
Why don't you tell
Big
people
difference. And with that being said, I didn't get that gentleman's name. I don't know if his dad is alive, because I'm pretty sure his dad don't want to see his boy gone. Now I'll tell you what can happen from this. He gets around his dad and his family, and they tell him, "We told you this was going to happen. You are lucky you're not dead. You're lucky that guy came and stood there with you." That is what possibly is going to happen.
Well, I assume, and I'm not going to give anything away about my conversations with my own children. But let me tell you this. I raised two stepsons and a son and a daughter that were my birth children. And I have had these conversations, in particular, with my three sons. And I look them deeply in the eyes and say, look at my eyes. You want to fuck it all up? You want to ruin my life, your mom's life, your grandparents' life, everybody's life that you know? Do that again. Do that again. End it all for that. Is that what you're working on here? Because you just about fucked it all up. You got that? This is the kind of father I am, Robert, because if you're not that kind of father, you're going to see your kids dead. You got to wake people up sometimes.
Yeah, I don't want to see my kids dead. I've already gone through that. Like, Jeff just let you know I've already gone through that. And you know what was so crazy about that? The feeling that I got inside of me throughout all that, it was like a paternal,
That's right. That's
like
what I'm telling you,
it was paternal there. It was
Robert.
like something hopped into me and I was like, I have to do this. Like
Okay,
that's just
let's
what
go.
happened.
Let's go next door to paternal. How about I am my brother's keeper? Does that sound familiar? Yeah,
Yes.
doesn't have to be. We're just brothers, man. Robert's my keeper. I guarantee you. Brian's my keeper. I am my brother's keeper, man. I'd do anything for these guys. Do anything for these guys. I know where their heart's at, man. And so we got to be our brother's keepers because the other people in the capistocracy, in the government, in the financial sector, in corporate fascism, they're using us as tools. They're killing us. They're killing us. And you know what? The results of that are addiction and grief and loss that cause people to go out and get drunk and drive. That cause people to have addictions where they snort things up their nose that kills them. That causes people to die of stress. Robert, if we don't die of a drunk driver crashing to us, we're just going to die of the stress of being an app slave and the stress of living in poverty and austerity and not being able to bury our mother properly. Because because Robert, rest in peace to Robert's mother, Mrs. Reese, Robert lost his mother in the last year. And so these are things that we all share in common as humans. We have to be our brother's keeper because we're all going to lose our mothers. We're all going to lose everything, including our own lives over time because we're human. And so that connection is what keeps us together. That connection is what keeps us alive. What we're being provided as an illusion on our slave phone, as an app slave, or as a wage slave to an empire, that illusion does not keep us alive. That illusion is literally killing us. The stress of going homeless and not being able to take care of our loved ones and not being able to take care of our 27-year-old pets that are dying and not being able to keep ourselves housed and not being able to find work and not being able to drive our car. That stress is a killer. Our lifespans are going down while the lifespans of wealthy people are going up. We are literally being genocided. And if you don't know that, that's because you're still asleep, which is why I clicked StreamYard and came to talk to my friend Robert. Because every time I talk to Robert, I talk about awakening to this living hell that we're in.
Yeah, it's you know what? I had a feeling you were gonna click on because of how deep you feel about things. And when my wife told me, she was like, they're over there calling you all this other stuff. And it's funny because you would think that when real life happens, you would think people would peel away from the social media wars and the little childish games and all this other stuff to just come back and reflect and think like, dang, that was a real moment right there. And
But here's
it's
why.
funny that people don't do that. They don't do
They
that.
don't do it, Robert. Here's why they don't do it, because they're asleep. They're asleep to this present moment. They're asleep to the reality of our connectedness. They think, right? You were already connected to this man in the community. Your connection with him, Robert's connection with this man who was driving drunk was one. They were one in this community, and Robert had to keep his brother alive and his community alive to make it okay. Now, anybody that doesn't see that, that's because they have a cognitive bias in their head of the G.I. Joe fallacy. And I've been teaching people about all these thinking fallacies, not because I want to seem smart, because I know all the fallacy, because I want you to be smart and know the holes in your own thinking. My idol, Dr. Robert Sapolsky, talks about this stuff, and then he makes the note, even though I teach this stuff and I know this stuff, I forget to think this way sometimes because I'm a human too. We're all humans. But here's the thing. Got to get your thinking back right. You have to overcome your own cognitive biases, which tell you that this empire that you're in, these systems that you're in are legitimate, and you're acting and they're reacting to you, and this is the real world and all these things. That's not true. So what bias is that? That's the G.I. Joe fallacy, right? G.I. Joe in the 80s said, knowing is the first step. Knowing isn't, once you know, you can take it. That isn't true. Once we know, we tell ourselves, yeah, well, but are you sure you know? Do you really think you know? It seems like knowing should be enough, but knowing not to drunk drive is not enough. You also have to live in the present moment to not drunk drive if you happen to get drunk, right? You also have to have that self-control within your lack of free will not to drunk drive. That person didn't have it. Robert does. So Robert helped his brother out who was struggling at the moment. Okay, and so this connectedness to keep each other alive, this connectedness for Robert to know that he had to take action was all in the present moment. And again, this cognitive bias is that, well, people already know that drunk driving is wrong, so it won't happen. No, that's not true. People know drunk driving is wrong and it can get them and their family and other people killed, but they do it anyway. And it's the same cognitive bias of app slavery. We know that this is a rigged game, that corporations are screwing humanity, but we do it anyway. And in the act of doing it, we also buy into it and we perpetuate it because we have to, right? And so all of these things, and going to another, Gresham's law, which I took the other, in Gresham's law, this is a law, right? If you have a system, you can't be good in a corrupt system. There is no good money in a system of bad money. There is no legitimate business that's owned by organized crime. You can't be a good medical doctor in a corrupt hospital that is selling and doing bad medical procedures, right? So each of us, where have I been hiding? Hey, Tommy, I've been hiding from you. No, I haven't been hiding from Tommy. Nice to see you, Tommy. I've been doing lots of research. I've been doing an entire, I think, 8 months of research to tell you what I'm telling you now, which is that same thing I've always told you, which is that we have to come together in this present moment to understand what's going on. And Robert, the name of my broadcast today was the end of DoorDash, Uber, and the global gig economy. It's the end, because last year was the beginning of the end. This is the end. We can no longer survive this, and we're seeing our fellow app slaves who were trying to go homeless, not be able to bury their mothers, not be able to take care of their pets, not being able to take care of themselves, and making pennies on the dollar of what they even made 2 years ago, or pennies on the dollar from what they made in app slavery a year ago. It's getting worse and worse and worse and worse. And the little secret is, it's never, ever, ever going to get better. It is only going to get worse, like all narcissistic abuse, like all abusive empires. And so I made this video today. Robert gave us a great living example of the present moment and why we can't depend on governmental systems to save us. Because again, Robert saved the community from a drunk driver. The cops didn't save a community from the drunk driver. The cops came and cleaned up the mess and put this person in some place where he can get the help he needs, and he's not dead, and nobody else is dead too. But the police cleaned up the mess. Robert kept the community safe. Police don't keep you safe. Men with guns don't keep you safe. You keep you safe. A good society where people are not in grief and cognitive dissonance and not going out and getting drunk and losing control, that's the society we want. But you know what that takes? It takes a society of mentally healthy, awake people, Robert. Robert and I don't get drunk and drive because we're mentally healthy and awake. We know the costs of those actions. We know, because we're awakened individuals, that just because our compulsions or feelings or behaviors may not be
well, look at this, Jeff. Look at this. We had, throughout the political elections and debates with the school shootings and everything else from the past years, coming all the way up until now, they put in that if you see something, say something. And they said that this will be a way for us to notice signs if someone may want to shoot up a school or something else. Well, I use that in a way to where the man's vehicle is his weapon. I saw something and I said something. So there were a lot of people that were for that when it came to a school shooting. They were for it when it came to a school shooting. Now they're against it when it comes on to this.
And you didn't say something, you did something. There's a difference between saying something. Saying something would have been, hey, dude, don't be a drunk driver, and then you drive off. You did something. You said, no, my brother. You stay right there. You don't go anywhere. You're drunk, bro. You're drunk, bro. You're drunk. You need to chill out. You just crashed into stuff, right? This guy didn't know what was up. This guy's head, we spin a million different ways. He wasn't hearing or seeing anything. So Robert did something. Okay, now, when you see something, say something, that's also kind of empire surveillance, right? Because the cops are not our friends. You may see things that aren't real problems, and then you call the cops, and the cops will make them a fucking problem, right? That's the problem. That's the issue. I don't want to use the word problem so many times. The issue when police show up is that police are a lot of the problem. When police show up, they start pushing people around and muscling people around, and people die. Now, if you call the police at the right time for the right situation, can they do the job? Yeah, it's possible. It happens. This happens. Police can do good things too. It's the same thing as bad things. They're human beings, but they're captured human beings in a corrupt system. Okay, but again, so Robert saw something, he did something, he stopped it, and then he called the local law enforcement to clean up the mess. Again, that is the reason that is necessary, is that we are in a broken system. The reason Robert had to do that, the reason people are out driving drunk, is that we're in a broken system. That's the reason the guy was there in the first place.
Hey, Jeff, Tommy's asking, what did you do? Tommy, I have the clip. For those of you who are watching right now, I'll show the clip again right now, and you can watch it in its entirety right now. Tommy, Brian, in case you haven't seen it, here it is right now.
Are you in?
I'm in a white Hyundai. Yo, G, you all right? G, you all right? Nah, man, you're swerving. You almost crashed.
I get it, bro.
Oh, you're hammered, G. You're hammered. You're hammered. Do not move the car. Please don't move the car.
Okay.
Do not move the car. Turn the car off, G. Please don't move the car. You are hammered.
Hey, okay. You want to know what's up?
No, I know what's up. You are hammered, G.
I'm going through the divorce.
Look, you can be going through a divorce, G. This ain't the way to go, G. This ain't the way to go, G. Just look, turn the car off. Do not move. Turn the car off, G. Turn the car off. Do not move, G.
Okay.
Just look, just stay right. Do not move the vehicle, man. You scared the hell out of me. Look at the front of your vehicle is damaged. The front of your vehicle is damaged.
It's been
I don't know if it's being damaged, man. It's damaged. Do not move the vehicle.
okay.
Do not move the vehicle, man. Please don't move the vehicle.
Lucky, like, hey man, between you and me, can you turn it off?
No, I'm on the phone with the police. Yeah, you almost crashed. You were asleep. When you were asleep, you almost hit me from behind with your lights off. You were asleep. And then you went to the divider like five. Don't get out the car, G. Just stay here.
I got my phone on.
No, I don't need your phone. I don't need anything. I just need you to just stay in the car and don't move, G. Huh?
You know if I got something?
I'm on the phone with the operator now. Yeah, you almost killed yourself. You almost killed yourself, man.
Can I
You-
get my people on me?
They're gonna come right now, and maybe they can, don't get out the car. Stay in the car, G.
I'm in the car with my phone on.
No, just stay in the car, man. You're hammered, man.
No, man.
You're hammered, man.
You know what it is?
You're hammered. Look, you
Okay,
can't
okay.
stand up. Just sit in the car, man.
No, I'm here. I'm going through the abortion,
Man,
and I live like 5 minutes away.
look, 5 minutes away. You almost killed yourself right now, G.
No.
You were asleep and you almost ran. You just almost crashed again, G. That's why I got behind you. That's why I got behind you, man.
Okay.
Just stay in the car and do not move, man. Please don't move. Please don't move. Just call someone now on your phone. Call someone.
You're racist now.
But call someone so they can come and get your car and take it home, man. You don't want to lose your vehicle either. Call someone, they can come and get your car or something. Maybe when they get here, they'll be here with you, man. I called the police. I had to, man. Safety, man.
I live there, right now.
Yeah, you did not almost make. I had to. You just stopped because you knew I was here.
Okay, but you called the cops on me.
Yes, I'm on the phone with the operator. Yes,
Okay. Then you feel what you have to do with right?
yes. I don't want you to die.
Yeah, but you fucked me.
So you would rather die?
Okay, can you turn it off?
Nah, man. Just get in the car, man. No, I don't know you're drunk. I don't know. You said you're going through a divorce. I don't know if you might attack me, man. So I'm recording this. I'm recording this for my safety, man. I'm recording this for my safety.
I don't have anything threat against you.
No, yeah, but I don't know. But can you just get in the car and just sit there, please?
No.
All right. Well, the officers will be here. So, I don't want to hear your life story, G. I don't want to hear it. Maybe you can tell them. I just want to make sure you are not going to kill yourself.
No, I'm going through divorce.
Yeah,
It sucks.
the divorce sucks, man. Trust me. Look, but you almost killed yourself. Divorce is not worth killing yourself, man.
I'm not gonna-
Don't do it. Just stay calm, G. 'Cause
Okay. Look, hey, bro. I'm not gonna kill myself. If me and you get through it, fuck it. But if you want to get the authorities involved, so fuck it.
Yeah, but you can't drive. You
No,
can't
no,
stay up.
Okay. From this street, I'm from my house, I'm 5 minutes away. It's up to you.
No, it's not up to me. I want you to look. If you leave, that's on you. I stopped you and I did my job. I don't want your keys, G. I don't want your keys. But I have to look. I stopped traffic. I stopped traffic on the street. I stopped traffic on the street.
Thank you, bro.
I stopped traffic on the street. So here's the officers. We were coming down Paris, and
All right, people, that's when I speak to the officer, let the officer know what was going on, let him know dispatch. You know what's crazy? The dispatch call sounds crazy. I know the dispatch call sounds crazy because when he's bouncing off the divider, I'm saying, oh no, don't, oh, he's almost up. I'm letting him hear. So, I know the dispatch call sounds crazy, but there it is, Tommy. That's what happened. And as you see, he's drunk when he's trying to give me his keys, people. He's trying to give me his keys like I'm the doctor at the hospital or I'm the police. He's trying to give me his keys.
So, Robert, can I make a couple comments there?
Yeah, go ahead.
Comments.
Floor is yours.
So, look, that's some heartbreaking stuff right there. That man, we just told Robert, his life is in disarray. He may be going through divorce. He may be going through all kinds of personal grief. That's what we have to see when we see our fellow man right now. And this is why there's school shootings and violence all over the place, is that people are in cognitive dissonance and disarray in an empire that is falling apart and crushed from top to bottom by organized crime, including our own little our own little tasks of app slavery right now. They're not jobs. They're just tasks. So this man told Robert, and what did Robert say? I understand, man. I understand you almost killed yourself, G. You almost killed yourself. I'm trying to keep you alive. Trying to keep you alive. Stay where you are. Okay, so Robert, that was an amazing job, and this family and this man owe you such a debt of gratitude. None of this was about the cops. The cops are just a tool that we happen to have in society right now, and they're all we have at the moment to enforce laws in such a situation and keep this gentleman, not because he's an evil person that needs to be destroyed, but in the present moment, he was somebody that needed to be kept from driving his car any further down the street. In that present moment, that's what had to happen, and Robert intervened. But what did this guy say? Why did Robert have to intervene? It's because this guy was in terrible pain and addiction and disarray and confusion and grief. Those are the things we're all suffering. So Robert's been disconnected for a moment. I'm Jeff, your lovely co-host, and so I've been keeping it going. But Robert, I explained your function in that, and with such compassion. And look, that guy, anybody who's been through a divorce and what happens there, knows the grief that gentleman was going through. And Robert did him a favor with kindness and firmness and right action in the present moment. I can't commend you enough, Robert, for keeping your brother and your community alive, because that's what's on us. It's not about getting somebody thrown into the cuffs. It does nothing for us to have more jail slaves. It does nothing for us to have more people tortured in the system. But we have to take right action in the present moment. And the thing is, much like Robert, when you're in the present moment, taking right action is the only thing to do. Robert couldn't just drive away from that guy and watch him kill somebody. It just couldn't happen. It doesn't matter what you think Robert should have done. He did the only thing he could do in the present moment. So, and people ask me when I got fired from multi-$100,000 jobs, Jeff, why did you have to do what you did? Why didn't you just go along? And I said, no, I never even saw the option. In the present moment, when somebody says, hey, Jeff, you want to go commit some fraud and tell people stuff that's not true, I just go like, no, I don't do that, G. It's just not what I do. It's not that's not going to happen. And so it's over before it even started, because that's just not what happens. In the right moment, when you ask me to do something, I'm going to do what's right in that present moment. And my argument to any of you who think Robert just did is that he did the only thing that any of us could do or should do in the present moment. If you enable a drunken driver to go out there on the road and kill somebody else, you're a maniac. And whatever your motivations for being a delusional maniac is, I don't fucking need to hear them because they make no sense. Robert did the only thing a rational human being could do in the present moment was to protect the fellow human being. Now, I, for one, mourn the fact that the system that this man got thrown into is the American system of justice, because we know that is about selective enforcement and torture and jail slavery and all those things. I don't like that that's the option we have, but that's all we have. In the present moment, Robert had to keep people alive, right? So I think for me, not that I logged into this podcast or even knew what the topic was when I logged in to justify Robert's actions, but for me, if I look at Robert's actions for present moment awareness and connectedness of all things, not some things, all things and all people, present moment connectedness, Robert did the only thing he could do in the moment. That's my argument to the audience, you might think. And boy, if anybody calls Jeff Thomas Black a sympathizer for the cops, I'd love to see it.
Yeah. I will look. He without sin cast the first stone. It's pretty much where I am going with that. Albertsons, I'm gonna take it.
This is the point. We're all suffering in grief together. In grief and confusion, Robert. We don't make our best decisions. I've done it too, right? What do you think a life of poverty and joblessness and app slavery struggles and car repairs and financial fuckery? What does that bring you? That brings you a lot of stress and anxiety and sleeplessness and fear and everything else. And what does that cause in your life? A lot of bad decisions. Causes if you have any addiction problems, if you like to eat, or if you like to, if some pharmaceuticals make you feel better, whatever your addiction is. Maybe it's sex, maybe it's being an app slave and being on a phone 24 hours a day. If that's your addiction, and we all do have addiction problems if we use these slave phones, right? So what do all of these things that are being put upon us, Robert, as fellow human beings, what do? They cause us to make bad decisions in our present moments. They cause us to lose our consciousness and do things. Because I heard what that guy said to you. That guy had compassion and empathy for you, Robert, as the person that was intervening. He's like, I don't want to hurt you. I'm not trying to scare you. But here, take my keys. He's trying to reassure you, because this was not an evil guy. This was not a psycho killer that Robert just got. This was a guy in terrible, terrible pain and in the midst of a terrible, terrible addiction, right? This guy didn't try to fight Robert or call Robert a fucking pig or something like that. This guy understood he was in a bad spot, and Robert was probably there to help him, even if he didn't like it very much.
Yeah, and that's while being drunk, he still understood that, and then he understood. He said, "Oh, you snitched on me already," but then he said, you did what you thought you had to do. He like that came out that came out his mouth
And
while he was drunk.
in this man's better moments, he might have done the same thing. This was not his best moment. Robert had moments in his life that were not his best moments. I've got on videotape some of the moments in my life that are not my best moments. We all have those moments because we're all part of the same thing here. We're all connected, and all of us are having good present moments, and struggling present moments, and happy present moments, and sad present moments, because that's what the present moment is. It's all of those things connected. This is cerebral stuff, and this is the thing, and this is the fun part of what I task myself as my job. My job is to come into the app slavery community, the gig app community, where nobody cares about us or our present moments, and help you guys to understand us in our present moments. And to me, that's a revolutionary act. And Robert, I'm a revolutionary. If you don't know, that's what I'm doing here.
Oh yeah.
I'm trying to help you all save yourself, because I can't do it. You can.
Oh yeah. Hey, and some of you people that I saw you on, your live streams and things like that, I would think that this would be a pretty good open topic for discussion, which is why I put it on for a live. How you guys feel on your live stream? You guys have the open link right here, because there are people out there that totally feel on the inside that I don't get involved with anyone else's business. And if you are one of those people, you can click the link and state why you think it was the opposite way. So to let everybody hear your stance on it. You can actually do that here. It is an open link. I did what I did. I voiced myself. Jeff is someone that was able to watch the video, observe it, give his breakdown and his reaction. So I put the link up just for the people that say, well, maybe I would have drove them home, or I would have done this or that. I would like to hear from you guys, and actually have it done in a professional way. This is not a I don't like you screaming back and forth. This is about a situation that anyone could be put in. So just let the people know how you feel about it and go about it.
Let's talk about intervention systems, Robert, because I am a relatively big, strong, and imposing person, and people don't attack me. I am not in fear for my safety in most situations. Okay. That being stated, and probably because of that, I have tried to help a lot of people in homelessness, disarray, victims of violence, and things like that. It is a very difficult thing to do. One of the things you realize when you work with homeless people or people in they're suffering present moment trauma is that even helping them is almost impossible, because they're not connected to their families, they're not connected to their own lives. It's like, who can I call to get you help? And they're like, nobody. Can I call your parents? I don't talk to them. Can I call any brothers or sisters? They're dead. Can I call your ex-roommates? They don't talk to me anymore. This is what happens. And so you're talking to a guy who spent the last 20 years of his life working in civil rights, man. It's not as easy to help somebody as it sounds like, because they can't even help themselves. So this is where we need better systems and better incentives, so that instead of calling the police to throw this guy in a system of jails and judges who don't care about him and won't see that he is a person who can be redeemed and a person who has things to offer this society, instead they're going to penalize him and throw him in jail and give him programs that don't help him and do a whole bunch of shit. That sucks. By the same token, to say that Robert should have thrown this guy in his car and driven him home, I'm a person who's done that kind of shit. I've taken people in that are high and drunk and out of their fucking mind and tried to make them safe in the present moment, because I'm big enough and strong enough to defend myself. It's not something that works out very well, Robert. Usually it doesn't work out very well, because no matter how good my intentions or your intentions, we're not institutions that are capable of taking care of a big grown man who is drunk out of his mind. We don't have a place to put him. We don't know if he's going to attack us in the car. We don't know if he's going to try and kill himself with something while he's sitting next to us. We don't know. We don't know. And so if people have illusions about how some big strong guy like maybe me or Robert might be able to help somebody, I'm telling you it's an illusion, because I've handed these people my cell phone. I've sat with them, I've taken them out and sat with them and tried to help them contact people to get their lives back together. It doesn't work.
Keep going, Jeff. I'll be right back.
It doesn't
Keep going,
work.
Jeff.
And this is why while we're our brother's keepers, we also can't save each other, right? Because within the system, we're all struggling. And what would I be if I tried to jump in and intervene? And I'm just one struggling person trying to help another struggling person. And so now I told my friend Brian C. of DoorDash Sucks this the other day, right? That what's the first rule of becoming a saving lifeguard is that you can't save anyone else while you're drowning. First, you have to make sure you're not going to drown. Then, while you're not drowning, you have the opportunity to potentially save a life of somebody that is. If you drown and they drown, nobody is saved, and you didn't do any good. And so what we need is better societal systems to keep people from drowning, because the jail system and the justice system and police officers that show up with squad cars and guns, they don't keep people from drowning. They might just delay it, or they might make it worse, or they might kill the people who are drowning and shoot with guns so that they don't drown. Instead, they die of gunshot wounds. None of those things are helpful, nor is jail slavery ever helpful. And as my as Dr. Robert Sapolsky of Stanford would know, anybody that thinks that jail or punishment is a solution is spouting what he calls intellectual gibberish. And it is intellectual gibberish to think that the systems of punishment that we have in the United States of America, the largest jail population in the history of the known world and in the history of the world now, all of these people that we have imprisoned and that we're torturing, we're not doing them or us any good. We're just diminishing our own humanity because our empire features the prison industrial complex, which is a system of injustice, selective enforcement, torture, and inhumanity. And for profit of private companies and for profit of empires, right? So we are the people who live within a system for which we are the lowest, most powerless cannon fodder. That's not a good place to be. And the reason that we are trapped here, again, is because we're trapped in their illusion. With slave phones, with cloud capital, with techno-feudalism, the people that own and organize our world anymore are further away from us than they've ever been. They're further away by distance. You know, the people that own your apartment complex, Robert, might live in Saudi Arabia. The people that own your apartment complex might live in China. The people that own your house may be spread all over the place. And so what's happening is those people that claim ownership of all this property, all the property that we're on, that Robert's cars parked on, the grocery stores, your houses, everything else, they're not here. They're not here in our present moment, yet they're using their power to say that they own everything to keep us under control. And again, it's a magnificent system of illusion that they have with the internet and with smartphones and with gig apps and with corporate fascism and propaganda and advertising and elections that are coming up. That's the empire love bombing you during elections. During election season, Robert, they tell you how much they love you, and that if you vote for one half of their oligarch party, either the red team or the blue team, and feel that love and joy with them, then they'll love you even more. But that's all a lie. That's all a terrible, terrible lie. Our friend Brian from DoorDash Sucks typed in here, I helped a friend that was drowning in an ice ocean, literally when I was 14. I almost died, dragged my friend 300 yards back to shore, had hypothermia. That was scary. Well, there you go, right? And so you know, sometimes people commit acts saving people. I've done the same myself, where you probably should have died doing it. And that's not real smart, right? And that's why I'm glad Robert didn't hop in the car with this guy. I don't want to watch Robert die trying to save somebody else. And that's
Oh,
why
that's a movie right there. That's a scary movie.
that's right. And that's why I also know, as a person who, Robert, in my younger days, who used to go throw my body between police and other people, and I took lots of arrests and abuse and everything for it, that me dying was not going to help the human race. It wasn't going to help my kids. It wasn't going to help my human race. My friends looked at me and said, Jeff, you're a really good activist. Maybe you need to find other ways besides throwing your body in police and jails to help people. And I said, you know what? You're right. I'm really old and tired. And so I learned, and I'm trying to learn from here, being on here with Robert and Amelia, who's moderating our chat, the lovely Amelia Muscle Doll Reese, who is always with us in spirit, if not in visage. Right?
Yeah,
but
she's
that's
back
why
there.
I'm hopping on here, is because what I'm trying to tell you, Robert, is 56 years of throwing my body on the line. I'm trying to show people you don't need to throw your body on the line to win this fight. And a lot of you are much younger than me. I hope so. That's good. My kids are much younger than me also. And I want you all to go on and live happy lives, not in this techno-feudalist hellscape that we have. And so I'm trying to share, and Brian, DoorDash Sucks, and Robert and other people are trying to share some of these things that we've learned so that you don't go down the wrong paths and do things like I did and go to jail and face men with guns, because that's not a productive way to fight back anymore. The productive way to fight back now is with our minds, with our unity. They've given us this tool of connecting with each other across time and space on the internet. Well, we can use that tool to win, Robert. How about we use their tools to come in for the big win instead of using their tools to lose? I'd rather use their tools against them, and we can do that. We can do that. That's our power.
Hey, watch this, Jeff. Watch this, Jeff.
Our tools for techno-feudalism. Let's see who wins. There's a whole lot more of us than there are of them.
You see how these people they try to put everything politically and try to make things, you know, weird. People, everything is politics. Everything, but watch this, Jeff. We're gonna get people out there. Well, he did what a liberal would do. A conservative wouldn't do that. They're gonna start saying that crap. Is he a liberal or conservative?
I'm here to tell you, as an apolitical guy, because I don't support either party or any party of liars, that Robert did what any of us would do for our brother, because we're on the same team. They're not even on our team. Robert did what any of us would, could, and should do for our brother if given the opportunity. That's all that happened. And so anybody that fails to see that has a real gap in their thinking, which is a cognitive bias. And here's the thing. I'm not saying you're an awful person and I don't like you and don't want to get to know you. I'm saying right now, your thinking patterns, if that's the way you're processing what Robert did, your thinking patterns serve oligarchs and empires that are murdering you, not you. I'm saying, here's my suggestion to you. Why don't you start working on developing thinking patterns that represent your own humanity, your own goodness, and your own survival? Because those are the thinking patterns of people that are awake. And if you're awake, guess what? Also, you'll be in less pain. You'll be less likely to go out and get drunk. You'll make better decisions. You'll be happy. You'll get better work done. You'll be a better father and a better mother and a better sister and brother and community member. You'll be more connected to help each other out, right? And so if we try and look at helping each other out and then put it in the context of, well, oops, the empire got us in the end, so there's no point. Well, the empire's got us, okay? That game's already over. The game is already over. We've been captured by the empire. Now, does the empire keep going and have us forever, or do we break free of the empire? That's the question. And so,
Now that question right there is so prevalent there that people, you got to understand, breaking away, it's kind of hard. You got to look at it like this, and it'll be about 2 or 3 minutes. I'm going to be on this, Jeff. Maybe even a little bit quicker. You got to look at how people are in jail. All right, they come from the outside, then they go to jail. When they're in jail, people, it is all politically broken down. Your race, you're this, you're that. They have governing bodies for every race. You can't do this, you can't do that, and you have to learn how to operate. There are certain consequences that go on when you're in that life, right? But they know what's going to happen if this and that goes down, right? So people say, well, that's crazy. It's warfare. They're making them kill each other and all that other stuff, right? Now take someone outside of jail. They're on the outside. You have zip codes and neighborhoods and different schools, and those are the zones to where they say you can't come here. You drive here, you'll get arrested. You could get beat by the cops if you go ahead and do all this stuff. Now, when you're on the outside, you have all the technology and everything you can get to get information from that could make you go ahead and shoot up a school. That can have you go ahead and be a serial killer or a Richard Ramirez. You can be the Night Stalker because you got too much information. On the inside, they're limited in the way to what they can get, but the consequences are still the same. So then you got to say, well, which one is worse off? They're both the exact same thing. They're both the exact same thing. So when Jeff says, my brother, he looked out for my brother. Outside of all that, even though you got the guys in jail, they still will look out for their brother if they have to when it comes down time to it. On the outside, the exact same thing. I wasn't thinking about, well, this guy's Mexican or this, and that. I was thinking about, this is someone who was just like me. How can I help? And people, we are messed up from the inside and out. It's all political, and it's all designed to keep you inside this, what Jeff said, the bumper cars. You got bumper cars inside, bumper cars outside. But as the title of this live stream, what would you do? Okay? What would you do? Would you go against the norm on what they say is the norm, and would you do what you got to do? Or would you hop in and be part of the others, and possibly we could have had, from him just me letting him go, and me, I had to stop traffic of the cars behind me who were upset at me. They didn't know. Possibly more lives could have been taken off of this earth, more families impacted and things like that. So you got to also understand and ask yourself, what would you do? I said that to say this: we are all the same in the same race, no matter what confines they have you in, controlled confines or even out. We're not free out here. We're still controlled. It's still controlled confines. It's just our perimeter gates, our perimeter boundaries a whole lot. But we're all the same, no matter what.
look, Robert just froze for a sec.
I'll be coming back. Oh, I'm here.
We got most of that.
Got
Robert,
me?
you just froze for a sec.
Okay. It's on you.
So yes, and
Did I freeze again?
yeah, you froze for a second, but we got most of it. We only cut off the last second of what you said. So that's right. And again, it starts inside. It starts inside each of us with an individual awakening. And awakening is not a spiritual woo-woo thing. Awakening is understanding the difference between your thoughts and the present moment, between your thoughts about the future and fear, and between your thoughts about the past and grief, and the present moment when we're right here, right now. And this is the only time when you can actually take action. The only time Robert could help that man was the time that Robert shared a present moment with that man, and he helped him in the only way that he could in that present moment. Okay, and so for you to second guess that narrative today is just ridiculous. I reject it in total. Even if you think Robert did the wrong thing, you weren't there. It wasn't your present moment. If you go have that present moment, you're going to do the right action you have in that present moment. And maybe you can try a number of different things. Maybe you can try and be a superhero and save the guy with your own personal hands. Let me know how that goes. Maybe you do what Robert did. Maybe you do something else. That's your present moment. But one of the thinking biases, Robert, that we have is we look at other people's lives and we go, "Oh, they should have done this. Well, they should have done that." well, Phil Knight should have done this. Well, okay. Well, Phil Knight lost a son. And so Phil Knight's life was changed by losing a son. And he named a basketball court after him. And he probably did a whole lot of other things in his life that all came from the fact that he lost his son. That was how his life played out. So for me to sit here and analyze Phil Knight's life knowing nothing about it, well, that's just a lot of my thinking. That's a lot of Jeff's narratives. Okay, it's not the truth of Phil Knight's life, because I have no idea what the truth of Phil Knight's life is. That's just my narrative. That's your narrative about Robert. That's your narrative about Jeff Thomas Black as a writer, as a guy who broadcast in the gig economy, as a guy who maybe was doing civil rights at one time. So those are all different narratives. Those things don't really matter very much, except as tools for your present moment. If they're tools for your awakening to your own thoughts versus your own present moment and your own being, then that's wonderful. Because in your own present moment, you're going to see the truth for what it is. You're going to see you for what you are. And let's see, Amelia said the way he was driving, his kids could have lost their dad last night. They still have their dad, and that's what matters. Is Robert perfect in every decision he makes? No, but we're all human, and that's exactly right. That's about being human in the present moment. Okay, is that there is in the present moment also, by the way, in the present moment, our human is also generally fairly perfect, right? If you're being perfect to your nature and true to your present moment, that is the best and only thing you can do. So that is perfection in the present moment. Again, somebody rethinking that has a cognitive bias, a number of cognitive biases, and a thinking disorder. They're not stating the facts about what Robert did because they don't know them. Okay, and I know that I don't know them too. One of the parts of being smart and or wise, if any of us are ever smart or wise, is knowing what we don't know, and we know almost nothing, Robert. All of us together, we know almost nothing about the nature of our life in the universe, and time and space, and humanity, and our place within eons and eons of existence. We know almost nothing about those things, and unless we're awake to that fact and our place within it all as a connected whole, we can run around thinking how important we are and act like complete dipshits, right? And so, that remedy for each of us acting badly is to be awake to our present moment, to be in control of our addictions, to be in control of our own life, such that we don't feel insane. And that's what you get out of a narcissistic empire and abuse and being a slave, is it makes us all insane. And what I'm telling you is you don't have to feel insane. You don't have to be in pain. You don't have to be confused. You don't have to see things through narrative. You can see things as they are in your present moment. And so people act on instinct, says Brian of Gigs Apps Exposed. Adrenaline, and in the present moment, there is no real way to handle a situation than how you do it in humanity. And that's absolutely true. So if you've ever been in moments where humans maybe just have died, been murdered, I have, Robert. I've been in a lot of them. And it's a real tough place to be. You want me to tell you something about those situations, Robert? People laugh. People tell jokes. People cry. People tell all kinds of things. And so sometimes when you see tragedies, and then people start conspiracy theories of these are crisis actors. How could this man be telling a joke on camera over on the side when his kid just died? Because that's how human beings behave. I've sat with families whose loved ones have just been murdered by the state, and we still laugh and cry and drink because we're humans. Okay? So again, these are narratives that somebody can plant in your head. I can plant doubt about Robert's grief for the loss of his child, or Phil Knight's grief for the loss of his child, or anybody else's grief. I can plant narratives that say, well, geez, maybe they're just a crisis actor, maybe they're just making whatever. Yeah, but when you're in that present moment, or if you ever share some of those present moments, most of us live long enough, we share some awful present moments. Even in our most awful present moments, what do, Robert? We laugh, we cry, we tell jokes, we hug each other, we pat each other on the back, we tell each other it's going to be okay, because we don't know what else to do, man. And so what we have, Robert, a lot of times, especially in these chats and with critics of present moment heretics, we just have a lot of bad thinking. BADTHINKING. It's a lot of bad thinking that passes as comments from people that are very ignorant of their limitations, of their human limitations, in the knowledge of time, space, and the universe. They're limited, which is why, Robert, I know just like me, you don't take offense to that. You welcome them to come and talk to you because they are the ones with the problem. They're the ones that are not perceiving reality. Right?
Yeah, this is all about reality. This ain't about Mr. Rogers' make-believe world. No, this is all about reality. Like, this was a real life decision, real life choice. God gave us the ability to we can make choices and decisions. And it's not all about, hey, do I like cherry pie or apple pie? Nah, it gets a little bit more trickier than that. And, life and death. And, you gotta think. Life and death.
real freaking fast, man. Life and death happen real freaking fast. You can be alive 1 second, dead the next. That's how it actually works, Robert. That's real scary stuff, man. People don't think this stuff comes out of freaking nowhere. It happens. Look, one of the most dangerous things a police officer does is pull people over. You know how many more police officers die by getting their cars hit by another drunk driver or another driver than die from gunshots. Being a police officer, one of the most dangerous things to do is just drive a car around. They die from car accidents and getting hit by people all the time. Okay, if you know how police officers die, very few police officers die from getting shot. They always shoot first. Cops are trained to shoot first. They know guns are offensive weapons, Robert. They know how to use them. And cops don't get shot unless they get ambushed, and that's very, very rare. Very, very rare. Rarely will a cop get ambushed. That's the only way they die, because they always shoot first. That's what they're trained to do. You're the enemy, they shoot first. Then they never lose. They don't ever want to lose to you. You don't understand. They want to go 100 and 0. They want to win 100 out of 100 confrontations with you. And if they have to kill you a whole bunch of times to win 100 out of 100, and maybe 25 of those they didn't have to kill you, they're still going to kill you those 25 because they want to win all 100. They're not willing to go 99 and 1.
Just like the DA. Just like the DA. The DA would love to have 100.
Never want to lose. And so they got to rub a whole bunch of us out so they can never lose. They'll rub a whole bunch of us out so they can never lose. Okay? So,
yeah.
So again, this is me taking back all of these narratives to this present moment. And what is our present moment? Our present moment is we're in a judicial system where we know people in power never lose, and we always do. Is that system going to continue in? No, it's not. And we're in a system where they're taking our housing and our food with organized crime. Is that a system you're going to keep going in? No, it's not. It doesn't matter what you think is going to happen. It's happening.
Oh, and it's going to happen whether you like it or not.
Just like we're all going to die whether we like it or not. I don't like it. I didn't sign up to be mortal. Nobody asked me. I'm just another pile of goo. You're just a pile of goo.
Yeah, I didn't sign up for it at all. It's like, damn, no one signed up for that.
We went like, what? When we all found out that we were mortal beings, that we were going to have to die someday, we were like, what? That's what they call right? When kids are growing up and they lose the golden whatever. I can't remember what they call it, but they lose that fantasy because when they're little kids, right, they have no sense of any of these things, and so they're living in this golden time of being an infant and a toddler, where the world is this infinite place, and it goes on, and then they find out, wait a minute, I'm mortal, and my mom could die, or my dad could die, or I could die. What does that even mean? And so we spend our whole life running around trying to figure out what that even means. Talk about being confused, Robert. We're confused primates, is what we is. I'm confused, but at least I know it. It's my chief skill. I know how confused I am.
Yeah, and we are super. Can you hear me in there? We are super confused. We are super confused primates. I like that one. Super confused. Capital S, capital C. People, that is what the university we are of.
This is cognitive dissonance, right? This is what's cognitive dissonance is a very simple thing, Robert. Cognitive dissonance is the difference between the real present moment that we're in and our belief system. So our belief system is that we're Americans living the American dream in capitalism and American exceptionalism. But we have cognitive dissonance because what I just said is not true in any way, shape, or form. That's what cognitive dissonance is. Okay, the life that you've been sold as propaganda is just not true. It's just not true. It doesn't matter if you want it to be true, I want it to be true. I'd love for it to be true because then I'd have nothing to worry about. Then my kids, who are 29 and 23, would grow old in a just empire that does good things around the world and helps people. But that is not the case. That is not our present moment reality. Our present moment reality is that we live in an empire run by people with a worldview called crackpot realism. Crackpot realism. And crackpot realism is the ideal by which the actual decision makers of your empire and governments, the World Economic Forum, and all of this corporate fascism, that's how they make their decisions, not by your votes or your leaders or your wishes for your freedom. They make them all by an ideal in which all serious people in your government agree that you are cannon fodder. You are a tool for their use for corporate profits, their use for ever-expanding wealth growth, their use for their organized crime, their Ponzi schemes. That's what your function is to serve their lives and their wealth. Now, as a worldview of people who are making literally all the decisions, who you never voted for and can't vote for, and will never see, and you'll never even know their names, if what I'm telling you is true, and it is, if what I'm telling you is true, Robert, and it is, that means everything you've been told about America is a lie. Everything you've been told about capitalism is a lie. Everything you've been told about slavery and the global economy is a lie. And so if that's the case, what's next, Robert? How do you awaken to that lie, and what do you do about it? Well, that's where individual collective action and individual right action, like Robert took, comes in, because each of us has one step at a time to make to awaken to the right action in the present moment, which Robert just showed us in a wonderful graphic example of taking care of his brother, and then also awakening to the reality of the empire and knowing that turning them off like Jeff Watts of Mike Drop Barbecue does. He turns Uber off and he starts his own private business where he connects in the present moment with his own coworkers and community and takes all of the profits and all of the revenue from his efforts instead of giving 75% to cloud capitalists who deserve zero, instead of giving it to organized criminals who are defrauding him and running schemes upon his friends and community. Now that's an awake guy right there. That's what Jeff Watts is doing. That's a product of awakening to his present moment and realizing that he's not going to give Uber and Lyft all of the money from his work. And so that's what we all have to do in different ways. And that's called the log outage, right? LOGOUTAGE. I made that word up 2 years ago 2.5 years ago when I started writing full dash closure for you. And the second I made it up, I knew it was great. It's the combination of log out and outage. Log out and outage. That's what we need to do to all the gig app companies. We need to abolish app slavery with logging out of their criminal empire and just doing it ourselves, because we don't need them. We don't need a middleman to do deliveries if that's what we choose to do. We don't need a middleman in the cloud somewhere in order to do rideshare, right? All of those things is what we already had. We already had delivery. We had UPS, we had courier services, we had the postal service, we had FedEx, we have DHL, we have a million other package delivery services. All they did was take the corporate expenses out of it and insert app slaves. And look at all this work you guys are doing for nothing. Look at all this work where they're doing. They don't even have to run their fleets anymore. You're playing bumper cars with your own car. You're pulling over drunk drivers, saving your community. You're doing all of this, but what happens? We don't have those resources that they have. So our cars run out of drivability. Our insurance runs out. We do dangerous jobs, and we're the ones that get in the accidents and lose our insurance or our driver's license. This is just terrible thing. So what is the Milgram experiment? The Milgram experiment was an experiment about following orders. So they put a person on one side, Robert, and then the test subject was on the other side, and the test subject was talking to a person they didn't know was a Confederate, right? Was in with the researchers, this person on the other side, and this other side was in a room, and so they're given a dial, and they said, okay, so if you turn the dial to 1, this person's going to feel a slight twinge of pain, and if you turn the dial up to 5, it's going to be pretty bad. Now listen, if you turn the dial up to 9 or 10, you could kill this person. You could kill them, and so you got to be careful. You got a lot of power here. Okay, and so I love telling these stories because I've studied psychology for so long, Robert. All you got to do is ask me, and I'll tell you a story. You know that's true. Okay, so they got the person here, they got Jeff here, and they go, hey Jeff, here's this experiment. We need you to give this person a little bit of a shock. We're gonna give them a quiz. They got one wrong, so Jeff, you're dealing out the punishment here. Give them a 1, and so you give them a 1, and the person goes woo behind the curtain. And you go, holy moly, I just shocked that sucker. And so then we go along, and they go, oh man, Jeff, this guy got 3 more wrong. You're gonna give him a 5. And so then they walk it up, Robert, and then after a while they start going, hey Jeff, why don't you give this guy a 9 or a 10? Well, they already told me, Robert, if I give him a 9 or 10, I might kill this unseen person on the other side. And every time I give him a shock, they welt more. So I gave him a 5, and they went like, ah! And then when I gave him a 7, they went, oh, Jesus Christ, you're killing me. Okay, and so the Milgram experiment was designed to see how people follow orders like Nazis and will be willing to do something that they have already been told might kill somebody. That's a pretty interesting experiment, isn't it, Robert?
Well, this experiment, they actually used this experiment on they used this experiment on Law and Order SVU. Williams was the person that was conducting the experiments, and he had people following him, and he was having them use the controls, and they busted in to see that they were doing this experiment.
So this is brilliant stuff. Now, there's a couple different things that have happened, Robert, in psychological studies. Number one, and this is really weird because we have no ethics in our society today, and we just torture people nonstop. But back when people cared about human subjects, there was a time when people seemed to at least take that into account. Now under corporate fascism, they don't even take human torture into account. Like that's part of the cost of doing business. But back when they were worried about such things, they looked at some of these experiments, like the Milgram experiment, and said, wait a minute, poor Jeff, the guy that you just, even when you tell Jeff that he wasn't really shocking somebody to death with the 9 or 10, guess what old Jeff, the participant in the experiment got? I got PTSD because I just went through the human experience of being ordered to torture somebody, and I signed up for it. And so now I feel shitty about myself, and maybe I should, and maybe all these different things, right? So that's an example, Robert, of a human experiment that wouldn't be allowed anymore because it's unethical, because in the process of the experiment, you're hurting people. There's a second experiment I want to talk to you about, which is called the Stanford prison experiment. I experienced that one for my very self as a jail slave, okay? All they had to do in Stanford, so they split people into 2 groups, prisoners and prison guards, and they put them in a lab that was a prison, or laid out like a prison with real bars and all that kind of stuff. And they put the prison guards in charge of being prison guards, and the prisoners in charge of being prisoners, and everybody lost their freaking mind within 24 hours, and they had to shut the whole thing down. Now, what does the Stanford prison experiment, which can never be repeated again, because why? Because it's actually traumatizing people as part of the experiment. You're not allowed to do that anymore. But they made movies about this. I've written about it 50 times in my life. I'm talking about it now. What does this actually tell us? This tells us what we know about the nature of putting one person behind bars and another guilty of anything. What happens is that the one on one side of the bar starts torturing the other on the other side of the bars, and the one on the inside of the bar starts losing their motherfucking mind, right? Because being a prisoner, losing all of your power and being a jail slave will mess you up for life, okay? This is trauma, 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 trauma. Now, this all happens instantly in a fake situation in a college research lab. What do you think happens in real jails and real prisons where people are being raped and tortured and beaten and spreading their ass cheeks so people can look up their vaginas and assholes? This is traumatizing things, Robert. Traumatizing things are going on in part of this system, and you're having to spread open your most intimate of areas for people that have bad intentions for you. Okay, this is a nightmare. This is a human nightmare. I've done it. I did it for a reason because I wanted to tell you about it. Because that's how I go. That's how I roll. So the thing is, we know these things. We've learned so much about the human mind. In fact, we've learned so much about the human mind, we're not even allowed to do these experiments anymore. But what do we not do, Robert? We don't put that knowledge into practice, because that knowledge in practice, it doesn't serve the empire. It serves you, Robert. It serves Amelia. It serves me. It serves my kids. It doesn't serve the empire. Because
you know what's crazy about that, Jeff? You look at the pharmaceutical companies, and they have the people that sign up for these tests, and they go testing themselves on all these medications, and they run these tests, and some people go crazy and kill themselves.
So that's the pharmaceuticals. But let's talk about the pharmaceutical reps or the doctors. The pharmaceutical reps and the doctors, they're the people that are in the experiment turning the dial up to 6 or 9 or 10 and killing us. And why are they doing that? Because they're being paid to do it, because their industry has been captured, because if they don't do it, they're going to end up on the outside looking in, and they're going to be homeless, and they're going to be jobless, and they're going to be the victim. And so what do most Nazis not want to be more than anything else is the victims of the Nazis. That's what most Nazis don't want to be, is the victims of the Nazis. And so they join the Nazis so that they're not the victims of the Nazis. Now, wouldn't it be better if we just skipped the Nazis altogether, Robert, and just lived free without the Nazis? And that's what I'm suggesting.
Oh yeah, you're all the way sorry, Jeff. I mean, Brian. Jeffrey got you. Jeffrey got you. Yeah, Jeffrey calms down all the caps.
It's my birth name. It's also the name of the Nightbot.
Yeah. Okay, so sorry, Brian, but he controls that. I'll put it up for you.
Throwing out another term called Stockholm syndrome. Okay, Stockholm syndrome is it's a cognitive bias or a fallacy, but it's caused by something very specific. I feel like my idol, Dr. Sapolsky, because I can take any cognitive biases and I can explain it to you, because I love this stuff so damn much. It's how the human brain works. It's how I care about you, because I know the pain that you're going through and what you're thinking, and I know how hard it is to do that. And because I've done all these things myself. I raised kids, I did all these things. This is the benefit of getting old. This is the best part of getting old, is that you might have something to share with people from what you experienced. It's not to be famous or be wealthy or get anything for myself that you don't have. And so Stockholm syndrome, what is that? Stockholm syndrome comes from a time when so-called terrorists, which of course a terrorist is anyone outside of the government's authorized terrorism. Okay, so a terrorist, somebody outside the government, they kidnapped some people in Stockholm. And so what happened, it was in a bank, I believe, and they took this bank hostage. And what happened was the people that they took hostage inside this Stockholm bank started siding with the people who took them hostage, and the motivations for freedom and struggle against the system that they had. And so that was named Stockholm syndrome, because it's this idea that Robert and Amelia could take me hostage, and within a week or two, I might start thinking that maybe Robert and Amelia were right in taking me hostage, and that all along they're right. So Stockholm syndrome is just another thing that plays into this, but it plays both ways, right? If you're captured by the empire in Stockholm syndrome, you could be captured by the drug companies and start sympathizing with the drug companies, or at least sympathizing with your own survival as a drug rep, that you want to hit President's Club and you want to go on the vacation with your wife on the cruise to the Bahamas, and you want to be successful and you want to be employed next week. And if that means that some people are getting addicted to your drugs, or maybe people die from that, maybe that's the cost of doing business. But the problem is that is the cost of doing corporate business and corporate fascism under an empire. The cost of doing business is that you're killing people with what you do. Okay, that's the cost of doing business. If you work for DoorDash, or if you work for Uber, or if you work for Lyft, is that you're killing people. You're an agent of app slavery that's torturing people and ruining all employment for humanity. That's what you're doing if you work for DoorDash or Uber or Lyft. That's pretty bad. That's pretty bad.
Yeah.
So, if you're an awake person, that's going to cause a lot of cognitive dissonance, I would hope, between your belief system for being a human being and your actions for what you're doing. So
Man,
that's
Jeff, I love it. I love it. I love it when you come on through because what just happened?
yeah,
You
yeah.
know, what the hell just happened?
Robert's
Oh,
getting
no.
gas while we're talking. This is multitasking at its best, and that's fine. Um, yeah, so again, this is the difference. Cognitive biases and this conversation that we're having, Robert. This is the difference between narratives, our thoughts, and the present moment. Right? In the present moment, we might be sitting with somebody that we think are terrorists and decide we agree with them. In the present moment, we might find ourselves pulled over with a drunk driver and find that he's our brother and we need to keep him safe until the police show up. Even if that's an awful, awful thing, that's just something we have to do in our present moment. It's an awful thing that Robert had to do in his present moment, but it's what he had to do in his present moment. And so again, the narratives are the difference between the actions and us discussing the actions and playing Monday morning quarterback or Sunday morning quarterback after the action's all done. It's real easy to play Sunday morning quarterback after the action's all done, or Monday morning quarterback after the action's all done, because those are just narratives and thinking.
Man, oh man, I hope these people wake on up and start to tune in to Jeff Thomas Black, man. If
Well,
you guys want to hear some real stuff, tune in to the man. I'm
this is
telling
what
you.
we're doing, Robert. This is what we're doing, and Brian and I are collaborating on this. This is Full Dash Closure. This is my movie Moose. This is everything that I'm working on right now, is to bring this knowledge to this community so that they can awaken, and through awakening, take individual action, each of them, to set themselves free. You get the whole point of individual collective action, the whole point of an awakening process for each of it. Don't expect to do it overnight. You can watch this stream. You can watch the streams that I've been making. I've replayed the conversation that I had from the park with Robert last week. I've done episodes on the con. I did a live this morning about this very, very subject that I hope you all go back and watch. And this is what I'm doing, is trying to provide you with this information that nobody else is giving you, from the best of the research that I've been doing for the last 2.5 years. The best of the research, I'm trying to give this all to you so that you can awaken to this present moment and save yourself. Because that's what this is about. Only you, through individual awakening, collective action, are going to be able to save yourself. And in that process, it's possible that we can save humanity together by saving ourselves one person at a time. By awakening.
One person at a time. Exactly. By awakening people, you got to understand all this talking stuff that goes on. It goes in one ear and out the other for a lot of people. But try to make yourself tune into some things, man. You don't want to be left behind on anything. You don't want to be the one where you're next in line and you're like, dang, dang, they're gonna stab me. They're gonna stab me. What the hell?
But here's what we already know. Everyone watching this stream, literally every single person watching this stream now live, or everyone watching this stream in the future, already knows through their own cognitive dissonance and their own present moment awareness that what's going on is not connected to their life as a human being, to their survival, and to their family's survival. We all know that this is a broken system. Every single one of us knows this is a broken system, because we know that we're producing massive loads of work and receiving some fraction of the benefit and compensation of it, that fraction no longer being enough to provide for us and our family, right? The math is being done for us. We don't have to be smart. We don't have to add it all up. We need to go by our present moment awareness that what they're giving us for our labor isn't enough. And when somebody's not giving you enough for your labor, you know what you do? You withhold your labor. You say, if all you're offering me to do this is that, that's not enough. If what you're offering me is enslaving myself through app slavery and poverty, and you're going to destroy my car, and I'm not even gonna have enough money to bury my mom or get another car when you destroy this car, I'm not doing it. I'm not continuing to pull this handle on the one-armed bandit when I know that every time I pull it, my odds of losing just grow bigger. Infinitely bigger until I lose everything. My life, car, my home, my wife, my house, my sanity, everything. That's what you will lose, because that's what this game is that they constructed for you. A game where they win and you lose every time. 100 and 0, that's their record. Yours is 0 and 100. That's our record. Okay? That's not going to change.
Never going to change, people. We're all lab rats. We're mice in the maze. If you guys are, one of my favorite movies. Yeah, my favorite movie is we're lab rats. The Scorch Trials. The Scorch Trials. What is the original name of the movie? With the Scorch, No, with the Scorch Trials. It's got the British people playing as the American actors, and it's with the Cure and Scorch Trials, and they put them in this land, and they're testing to see who can make it out, which ones can get the infections, which ones can live, and everything. That's my favorite movie, because this is exactly what it is. Everyone is a lab rat. We are all put in the Maze Runner. The Maze Runner. That's what it's called.
So you said it so well though, because we just talked about the Milgram experiment, the Stanford experiment, and Stockholm syndrome, which are all Stockholm syndrome, right? Was an experiment that was run in the real world by the power of whatever happens in the real world, and it's since been tested in labs, right, in different ways that were humane. But the Stockholm syndrome, the Stanford experiment, Milgram experiment, all of these things were humans as lab rats. And remember what I said about using humans as lab rats? They made rules that said, wait a minute, if you're damaging and traumatizing and hurting human in the process of using it as lab rats, that's not okay. But what is app slavery? What are these slave phones? What is the system of the global gig economy? That is all an inhumane human experiment being run on us in real time. And Robert Reese, my friend there, nailed it. We are lab rats. And guess what happens to lab rats when they're done with them, Robert? They don't. Lab rats don't get retirement. Lab rats don't get retirement. Lab rats die in the process. That's what lab rats do. Lab rats die in the process and end up with lots of tumors and lots of torture and everything else. We're lab rats, Robert.
Yeah. And if you guys don't like that, you don't want to seem like you're a lab rat, I'll put it in, you're a horse. You're a horse that is bred to be a sprinter, and you're bred to win titles. And the minute you sprain something, they take you to the back and slaughter you. they feed you up, exercise you all the way up, get your times down, clock everything. They do all those things. What grain works, what gets this, what's working, and the minute something goes wrong, you are off. So well, listen to this, I'll use that.
Listen to this, Robert. I just said it on my live this morning. I'll say something about that in just a minute, Brian. Thank you. On my live this morning from the Oregonian last night, which is Oregon's only newspaper that is really left for the most part. In the Oregonian, which is Portland's newspaper, they noted that the largest segment of growing homeless population is people 55 and over, Robert. And as somebody who's 56, I think that's pretty wild. And why do you think that is, Robert? It's what you just said. It's because they want the best of our labor years, and then they're just going to shoot us. When we're done, when we're old and tired, when you can no longer be a good slave anymore at 55, you know what they're going to do to you? They ain't going to give you a happy retirement on a farm, man. They're just going to put you down. They're just going to put you down. They're just going to leave you for dead. Or if they put you on a farm, it's going to be a farm where you stand out there while your hooves rot off and you get sores all over the place and nobody cares for you and nobody feeds you and you just ultimately die of exposure and starvation out in a pasture. That's what they want to give us. So that's another great analogy, Robert. But this is the deal, right? All of us get old. I get old. I couldn't keep doing the app slavery game, Robert, because I drove a sedan. And when I did 5,521 DoorDash deliveries, you know what happens when you do 25 deliveries a day for months on end out of a sedan? Your hip starts going out on you. You're not supposed to get in and out of a sedan 150 times a day, Robert, right? That's a lot every time. So you go to a store, you park, you get the thing, you get back in your car, you go drive, you get out of your car, you get out, you get back in your car, then you drive to the next place, you get back in your car, you get in and out of that car a million times a day. Your human body might be able to do that when you're the age of Sam Lee, when you're in your 20s and you can go sleep in hostels and stuff, but we all get old. And let me tell you something, if you do these kind of repetitive acts long enough, and anybody that drives for a living in a truck or a vehicle or anything else will tell you that's not a healthy lifestyle. That really wears down on you. And what do a lot of people do in app slavery, Robert, is because they become their own slave master to this nasty little fucking thing that gets in our mind. They become addicted and they don't work 40-hour weeks, Robert. They work 50-hour weeks or 60-hour weeks or 70-hour weeks or 80-hour weeks or 90-hour weeks or 100-hour weeks. And here's one of the things you and I talked about way back, Robert. What kind of driver are you on your 100th hour on the road? You're a maniac. I've done it, right? In your 100th hour on the road, and you're sitting at a stoplight and you got to make a delivery. You're ready to kill somebody because that stoplight's just taking too long. You go crazy, man. You can't work 100 hours a week without losing your noodle. You can't do it, man. And you're going to be a terrible driver, and you're going to do what I did. You're going to drive worse and worse. Like from 40 hours on, from the first 40 or 50 hours, you're probably your best driver. Then from 50 to 70, you start sliding. Then from 70 to 100, you turn out to be a fucking menace to yourself and everyone else. Because you just
telling you. Emilia be going nuts, Jeff. No, she goes so nuts to where I'm like, look, any little thing that's not even happening on the road, she's kicked up like Emerald. Bang! Just went right there with it.
This is because we are human lab rats, and this is torturing us. This is torturing us while we're driving. It's giving us notifications. While we're trying to do good business, it's wasting our time with notification. That's all fraud. That's all just wasting our time to manipulate us so that the one we accept is the one it wanted us to accept. Because this does 6 million predictions a second about what Robert's going to do next and what Amelia's going to do next. This is a game that they've already won. We're playing inside their little gram theft human game, right? And we're just a little icon. We're just a little avatar, but we're operating in the real world in our present moment, and they're not here. Much like the people that own your house. You're in your house in the present moment. They're not here. Okay? So the people, as usual, the people that are occupying us, where are they not? They're not here. They're occupying me. They say they own my house, but they're not here. If there's a fight right now, guess who's going to win? It's going to be me because I'm here and they're not. See how much power our present moment holds, Robert? You see why when there's more of us, if we all stood up right now and said, go away, that Elon Musk and Peter Thiel and the President of the United States and the Army and everybody else would just have to go away? There's 300 million of us. There's not that many of them. And of all of them, some of them would even side with us if given the opportunity, because they don't really like being Nazis as much as they just like not being us. They mostly don't want to be us, right? And so
Exactly.
if we join with people who don't want to be us to not be us, we could all be free. There's my theory, Robert.
Keep that going if you can. I'm gonna go pick up this dope puff.
All right, I gotta keep this going. I may just got out everything I have to get out, except for okay. So we Hippocratic Oath. Brian put up a term, Hippocratic Oath. What is the Hippocratic Oath? The Hippocratic Oath is very simple. It's what you may have
Picking up the order for Debbie.
And I read a lot and study a lot about medicine, and there's one reason I do it. Number one, I have a human body just like you, but more importantly, is that medical doctors are canaries in the coal mine.
On the podcast.
Captured by corporate fascism, by drug companies, and all of these people who don't have our best interest or human medicine in heart. But here's the thing about medical doctors: they take the Hippocratic Oath. They're not in a regular kind of business. They're not in the app slavery game. They're not in banking. If you want to become a medical doctor, you take the Hippocratic Oath that says, first you will do no harm, right? That your first job is to take money off the person who comes to his patient. Your first job is not to harm them. So if you want to make money off of them, you can only do that. You can only make money off somebody as a medical doctor if first you don't harm them. If you start off harming them, you're no longer a medical doctor. You just violated your oath. And the reason that Brian brings up the Hippocratic Oath in relation to what we're doing here is that as community members, and I'm going to argue with what Robert did with that intoxicated driver, that was just the Hippocratic Oath of being a human being. First, do no harm. First, do no harm. Robert could not drive past this man that was clearly going to kill somebody or himself, because Robert's first job was to do no harm. Robert's first present moment action was to do no harm, to block this guy from leaving. He didn't tackle him and beat him up and kick his ass. He didn't berate the guy and tell the guy he's an awful human being and that he should hurt himself in penance for what he just accomplished. Robert just woke the man up to the present moment and stopped him from doing further damage, which I would argue a lot is much like the Hippocratic Oath. And so even our doctors, medical doctors in this empire are struggling from being inside a captured system. That's back to Gresham's law, right? Gresham's law is you can't be in a bad system and do good things. You can't have good money in a system of bad money. You can't have good businesses in a system of organized crime. Okay, and so those same principles apply to our individual human action, right? So only in the present moment can we do right action in the right consciousness, because everything else is just us telling ourselves stories or telling somebody else stories or playing the blame game for ourselves or others, and that just does no good. All right, Robert's gonna be back in 2 minutes. So I guess while Robert is gone, I will plug the work that I've been doing the last few weeks and the work coming up this week. And that's all about full disclosure. It's about the book. It's about the project and how we're going to bring that to you so you can awaken to your present moment and take action, individual collective action that will set you free. Because only you can save yourself and set you free. Right? You could, but what you need to do that is you have to awaken to this present moment. You have to awaken to understanding what that is, and you also have to awaken to understanding what it is to be an app slave in your present moment. What it means to take right action. And again, I'm gonna argue this about Robert's actions to sum up this stream. If this stream, in this stream, Robert talked to you about his perception of his present moment and what he did and why he did it. And we got to witness that, and I shared my perception of it. You can have your own perception of it. None of those things really matter. What matters is what you take from this in terms of your own present moments, in terms of your own Hippocratic Oath. Are you going to do harm to yourself or others, or are you going to first do no harm? Are you going to first make sure that you protect your brother? Again, Robert was out of the car. I think he was listening to me, but Robert didn't put the guy up. Robert didn't subdue the guy and put the guy's arms behind his back. And Robert's a big, strong guy like I am. Robert could just beat a drunk guy up with no problem and put the guy on his face and put his arms behind his back and everything. That's not what Robert did, right? That is, Robert didn't use those skills. Robert used the skills to connect with this man in the present moment and help him, even in his current state, to awaken to the reality. And so Robert did a great service, and everybody else, all the rest of us, including myself, we're just Monday morning quarterbacking with our narratives. And maybe my narrative is partially right. Maybe everyone else is partially right. Even Robert's narrative after the fact is only partially right, because Robert can even second guess himself. Still don't matter. He still did what he had to do in the present moment, which is all any of us can do. Go ahead, Robert.
No, and you know what's crazy about that is partially, it's just partial because I just have to go. I got 2 GoPup orders, and so I'm delivering one guy a 24 pack of 805. I hope he don't get drunk and go drive in the car, and then I'm gonna do what the other guy did, and then I'm delivering some hard liquor right now to somebody else. And he said Monday morning quarterback. It's Sunday. They're doing it for football, but they could take this and drive out and do something. Now check this out, people.
Okay.
I'm the person delivering the alcohol.
Okay.
What if it happens and I'm the person? Yeah.
Okay, so that's okay. So I've been a bartender in live music venues and that kind of thing, and run those type of establishments in my younger days, even in some less younger days. And so there's a lot of responsibility with serving alcohol. Now, delivering alcohol, serving alcohol are 2 very different things, right? Robert's not being asked, unless the person who answered the door to accept the alcohol was drunk off their butt, in which case Robert would be unfairly asked to maybe do something, which is not what an app slave or a gig app worker should ever do. Nevertheless, we're not going to get caught in that rabbit hole. The point is, delivering and serving are 2 different things. But we know this. So in our present moment, Robert's present moment was delivering alcohol. What does that mean? So Robert has one present moment interaction with that customer, and he could assess if that person was either underage or intoxicated or in some way not capable of accepting alcohol, and Robert would have made the decision not to give it to him. But that's as far as Robert goes. Robert is not there to observe their behavior afterwards, and Robert has no idea what that person's going to do. So that person, right? That person also has their individual present moment and their personal responsibility and consciousness as, we hope, an adult to consume alcohol safely at home, where they're not going to hop in a car and drive people. But Robert can't control that future. That's all just a bunch of thinking. What Robert had was present moment to deliver alcohol to this household, and the only thing he could assess is the person he's delivering it to, did they meet the requirements for him to drop the thing off? It's in case any of you have not done our job before, you don't just drop alcohol off at the door. The person actually has to show you their ID and they got signed for it. So this is a different type of transaction than a lot of people might be used to, because we're all governed by the state alcohol laws like anybody else that serves alcohol, which is amazing because we get no training and no empowerment and anything else, and we could just get our ass kicked by somebody who we refuse to give alcohol to. This is a very dangerous job that we're asked to do for no money, almost no money.
Right.
That being stated, right, when I'm a bartender in an event, now I can see that person walk up. I hear that person order, so I can hear if that person's slurring their speech or not. I can hear if that person might be high or intoxicated on other drugs, Robert. So I have a whole different responsibility if I'm serving alcohol to a person in an event, because I have my present moment includes being able to see them walk and talk and dance and move around, and I can go like, that guy can't drink anymore, or that guy's a danger to all the other patrons, and he needs to, somebody needs to separate this person off so we don't hurt somebody, right? And so, so again, each of these things in everything that we do involves present moment right action. Now, one of the problems with app slavery and gig economy is Robert, like me, is a pretty veteran guy. I bet you Robert has served as a bouncer. I bet you Robert has served alcohol or been in different venues where they've served alcohol, and he knows how to deal with intoxicated people. He knows how to spot and manage people in crisis, right? But in order to deliver for GoPuff or DoorDash, the requirements are not to be as mature parent-like citizens as Robert and me. Like, everybody is not designed to be an interventionist, and for better or worse, Robert and I, that's kind of who we are. We intervene in people's lives to help people out sometimes. But that's not what doing this job is, right? Doing this job should be simple, and none of the responsibility and risk should be on you as this person who's being nominally paid to do something that is really quite a dangerous thing.
How's it going, Adam?
And as Robert is noting, also has a whole lot of responsibility. You're now dropping off a whole bunch of alcohol to people who may hurt themselves or other people based upon how intoxicated they get. That's a lot of responsibility. Now, one could also ask, does DoorDash or GoPuff are the purveyors who are making all the money in this business, the alcohol sales, the commercials, the DoorDash, are they taking enough responsibility? The question isn't whether Robert's taking enough responsibility in the delivery. Are they taking enough responsibility in their systems, in their sales? Do we have enough responsibility in our society to do what we have to do safely? And I would argue in general, no, we don't. These are terrible systems. Robert just happens to be a very veteran guy who's executing terrible systems with great integrity and knowledge. So that's great. Right? That is what we bring. That's what we bring as human beings to the equation. That's why we are the human beings. That's why we are reality, because we bring all those things. What does GoPuff or DoorDash bring? Nothing. Literally nothing. What, they sent an electronic message? That's their contribution? Amazing. And for that contribution, they're going to take 90% of all revenues. For that contribution, they're going to take everything and leave Robert nothing. When Robert took all the risk, puts all the expenses in, has the car, the gas, is broadcasting this live and doing all these things, and they take all the revenue. Well, just like the kings, just like the king getting to screw your wife on your wedding night, right? They're not claiming.
Well, look at this, Jeff.
They're claiming everything. They're claiming everything.
You can do Uber.
Everything we don't see is theirs, and we get.
Look, you can do Uber, and they have package delivery, right? Like people are just sending anything they want from their house. We don't know what it is. I could be picking up drugs and dropping them off. I could be dropping off drugs to someone's house.
And we know for a fact, as do the authorities, that this is how a lot of organized crime and drug sales and criminal activity happens on our backs, with our risk. We're the ones picking up packages of meth and delivering them, not because we want to, because we don't know what's in the package. And they just think that's fine. They just think that's fine because we're just the mules, but we're not mules, we're human beings.
Exactly. And people, if I would have, let's say the guy that, I helped stop last night, if he was that drunk ordering, I would have gave him the alcohol. He's already obliterated. He's not getting the alcohol. They would have said, drive it back. The store would have said, we don't accept alcohol returns. And they would have said, you can have it. And I would have got paid for driving back because I would not have gave him the alcohol. So that's why he went out by himself. He went out by himself to go do it by himself. And he chose to put himself at risk like that. But I still said, even though you did that, not on my watch.
And let's be clear about something. In this unjust system, if you are the guy who accidentally gives the drunk alcohol, guess who they're going to come after? They're going to come after you. They're going to come after DoorDash. They're not going to come after the AI. They're going to come after you. So not only are you the victim of this whole fraudulent scheme, you're also the fall guy if necessary. If somebody's got to go down because the drunk guy did kill somebody, guess who it's going to be? It's going to be you. It could be Tony Shu. It's going to be you. You're the guy.
Exactly.
You got no pay for it. Use your own assets. You got no knowledge of this person. You delivered the alcohol, but they're going to come track you down and go, oh, that was a guy named Robert Reese who delivered all the alcohol. We better track that guy down. He screwed up.
Yep.
Yeah. Robert, it's a bad role. You don't want to be the scapegoat of an empire because they're just going to screw you into the ground forever.
And for the people that they were like, he didn't bleep out his information. He lets you hear his name, the phone number. The phone number that's up there is the same phone number I gave. That's on the scroll. People, that is my business phone number. So that phone number is public. So I did not care. That's the phone number there. I gave my name, people. So people said, well, he doxed himself. Well, the number and the name is already here on this scroll. So I wasn't doing anything wrong. I had no care in all that. So I'm gonna go ahead and stop all that stuff there. I want to say thank you, Jeff Thomas Black, for taking the time to come on here after you did a live to hop up on here for almost 2 hours now. And I thank you for it because when you need expertise, when you need expertise, people, and it comes in, be thankful it's coming in because the message, some people don't hear the message from you the same. They got to hear from someone else. And I thank him for coming in, and he has tons and years and years and years of experience in many different realms, many different venues. He stepped in. He's been someone to help with aid. He's been someone going out there doing what he has to do to let you guys know what's wrong. He's been on both sides of it, and he gives you his opinion. He gives you facts. He gives you knowledge, and he also gives you the ability to have the choice to take heed in what he said or not. It's always a pleasant visit when he drops by. If you guys have not, go ahead and check out Jeff Thomas Black. Go ahead and plug in your books and everything for him, Jeff, while you're here.
Yeah, man. So I don't need to plug much because all they got to do is find me, and we're gonna get through this together. I'm not doing anything alone, but they can follow me. The channel is Jeff Thomas Black. You just got to put that in. You'll also see, if you put that online, you'll see my Substack where you can read Full Dash Closure. The first 4 chapters are online. There's an audio book. You can listen to it on any of your podcast networks. I think we got 22 episodes out right now. There's a lot for you there. But, there's a point here, and my friend Brian talked about the normalcy bias and function of X, and so that people think that things are going to stay the way they are. People think that things are functioning as they should, and so they kind of go along with it because the idea of not going along with it is very hard. If we don't go along with the idea of police officers being on our law enforcement, then what are we going forward with, right? If we don't go along with app slavery as our way to support our families, then what are we going along with? And again, from O'Mellis, we remember that it's much harder to imagine a future of true freedom than it is to conjure up the idea of the lie that we live in today. And today we live in a lie. You don't want to live in that lie. That's called being asleep. And being asleep helps the empire, and it helps the corporate fascism and the oligarchs. It doesn't help you. And so I'm going to give one last example before we go from psychology. Okay, there's a great book that we first went through when I was in the Duke University School of Business. It's called Social Influence, and it's by a man named Robert Cialdini, Cialdini, and it's a great. It's still in publication. It's 40 years old or more than that. And what he told us, there was a very famous scenario back in the 70s, I believe it was, where a woman was stabbed to death in broad daylight in Central Park. You may remember this story, Robert. And people said, how could that happen? How could you stab a woman to death in broad daylight in Central Park? Well, there's a reason for that, and he explained that, and it's part of social influence. When people see something going on, they see a woman being stabbed to death in Central Park. Okay, so the first thing that we would think, most people would think like, well, is this a movie that I'm watching? They must be doing a movie. This must be a play. Oh, they're screwing around. They're having fun. She's joking. He's joking. None of us know how to interpret this awful thing that we're seeing because it's outside of our frame of reference. It's outside of the normal world that we expect to see. So what can happen is that people can be looking on this scene from broad daylight, seeing a woman being stabbed to death, but that's not what they're seeing. What they're perceiving is confusion. Is this a movie? Is this friends playing around, playing grab ass? Are they joking? All of these different things. Now, that sounds really terrifying, right? That you could be murdered in broad daylight in Central Park in New York City and nobody would help you. Why is that? And it's because everybody walking around watching that, they're not cops, they're not intervention specialists. They don't think they could or should intervene. They don't see any pathway to intervening and helping someone. And so they don't.
Deliveries.
And as quickly as it starts, these things are over, right? These things
Okay.
happen
So I need
very
your ID.
quickly in human violence and in tragic situations. So what's the answer? If that situation is true and that happened and it did happen, what's the answer? How do we avoid that? And this is a great way to sum up this conversation, Robert. And what Robert Cialdini argued,
I have to scan it.
how you overcome that is that if you are a person in crisis, let's say that I am the person in crisis, instead of saying help, I'm being murdered, which people could interpret a million different ways, probably mostly as either a joke between friends or maybe a movie that's being filmed in Central Park or a million different ways, any other way than an actual person being actually stabbed to death. Instead of that, I could say, and I can't see Robert right now, but thank you. Robert, I would say, hey, you, the tall black man with a gray beard and the emergency vest, I need help. Yes, you, Robert. Yes, you, the guy with the gray beard. Yes, you, with the guy with the baseball hat on and the gray goatee. I need help right now. And now, what did I just do, Robert? I just snapped you out of your passive state and brought you into my present moment and connected with you. And now all of a sudden, you know, wait a minute. This guy in the green T-shirt just said, "Hey, me, the guy with the White Sox hat and the safety vest on. I need help. This is real." And so all of a sudden, you see how that changes the dynamic instantly from a situation where nobody knows what's going on to the situation where more than one person knows what's going on, and a situation where I could create a community in my present moment that might actually help me instead of watch me be murdered and think it's a movie. Fascinating stuff, Robert. I mean, this is fascinating stuff. This book changed my life, as many other books have, because this is the power of social influence. So this is what I'm doing with you guys right here, right now, right? In the same way that this happened, I'm saying, you see me right here? I'm a guy in poverty. Me right here. See that guy with the black hat and the gray beard? Hey, you see us? You, Robert, the guy with the gray beard. Yeah, you. We got a crisis right now. How do we do this? And then Robert doesn't think that I'm just putting on a performance somebody else or grab assing with my friends. He knows I'm serious. He knows I'm engaging him. That's what awakening is. That's what awakening to your present moment, saying, hey, you, and actually connecting with another human being instead of putting on a performance, which will be seen as such. It'll be seen as and that performance may be you being murdered. That's not a good performance. That's not the performance you want to put on. You want to put on the performance where you get saved.
Exactly. And well, people, that was a man. Jeff be coming through it on y'all. He got examples and stories for everything. I want to thank all you guys for tuning on in. You guys know how we run. Jeff was up here. I was here. Jeffrey's in there with the chat. Emilia's right here backstage with me, running things, making sure it's all going right. I want to say once again, from Team Hot Facts and everybody else out there, we out of here like Chuck Woolery in 2 and 2. Let's make that love connect one more time. I'll see y'all on the next one. Thanks, Jeff.
Well, thank you, Robert Reese. Hello, friends in the chat. That was a recorded interview that Robert Reese and I did about 4 hours ago. And about 2 hours ago, I replayed it for you, and that was the end of it. So that's been the day for me for a while, as I did a live broadcast. And then, hey, Chow Shows. Hey, I'm here. This is me live now talking to you. I did a live this morning um, that kind of laid out a number of things. Let's see if I can remember what they are, because I can. I might as well show you, since it's been a long day, a lot going on. And of course, I know you have a million things going on in your life besides watching me. Uh, Here's a little secret: none of this is about me. None of the project is about me. That's not what's important. What's important is what you can learn through this, which is uh, awakening to our present moment. And it's a hard thing to learn. It takes a lot of practice. Well, it's not a hard thing to learn. It's an easy thing to learn. It takes a lot of practice. It takes a lot of practice, but it's very simple. So today, earlier, I did a video for you. This one here called "The End of DoorDash," and that video is a product of that's part two. That's me this morning for you. That's part two of the beginning of the end of DoorDash, which was a year ago, and then here's me today doing the end of DoorDash, which is now. And I tell you, over a very tight hour, there's me watching me, and so now you're watching me watching me. If only I could watch you watch me, it would be a perfect world. It would be a very bizarre world, and it already is. So I reviewed Glitchgate a year ago, right? There's me watching me, and you watching me watch me, and we talked about that, and that's worth your time. That was this morning. That's called "The End of DoorDash, Uber, and Gig Economy Fraud" with Jeff Thomas Black, otherwise known as JTB. That's me. And so if we go back to the channel content, this one right here is what we just watched. Uh, this is "Are We Our Brother's Keeper?" And what we just saw, in case you missed it, is we saw Robert Reese interact with a intoxicated man who had been driving his vehicle, and what happened there. And we talked a lot about present moment direct action, present moment right action, and responsibility, and law and order in an empire, and all kinds of things surrounded with that, and a lot of it about perception and thinking, and what many people thought and perceived when they saw Robert intervene in that way, and what I saw and perceived when I saw Robert act in that way. And I thought it was an amazing video. And that's why I wanted to rebroadcast it for you. So that's what you got from today. If you scroll back just a little bit, had a couple big watch parties watching the con. It's a 5-part series, and I had producer uh, Patrick Lovell on with me, talking about the organized crime that is underpinning all of our financial struggles here. And gosh, if we go even further out back, you can see me talking about Dr. Romney and her work on narcissistic abuse and what's going on in the empire. All of this plays together in what we're experiencing now as we go through what we're going through, which is austerity and war and poverty and manufactured scarcity here in our homes and communities. And what is that scarcity from? Did you fail? Did the system fail? What is that? Well, that's what we talk about in all of the 3 hours that I offer you this morning, and in those other hours before that as well. Also, you're going to see more from me and my partner in getting some of this work done, Brian C. of DoorDash Sucks. Brian and I have partnered on some projects because he's a real capable guy, and man, his work and mine go together real well, and it very much helps me not to be doing all of this alone. He's a brilliant mind and understands so much of this so well through his own research. He's a great broadcaster, and so knowledgeable of the gig economy, fraud, that it's wonderful to have him working with me on this. Anyway, well, you'll have more coming on that, but this is about you, the knowledge that you can have, the knowledge of your own thinking, your own cognitive biases, and how you can awaken so that you have the best chance to understand what your right action is in any given present moment. Because that's the challenge we all face, right? Including me right now. Why am I sitting in front of you in my basement uh, working on a Sunday when I should be out in the sunshine? Because in this present moment, I think it's very important that I share this with you. That's my theory. And I truly believe that. And time is an illusion. I will go walking after I'm done here. I look very much forward to it. But this is very important to me. This is the most important thing I can do. It's the best and the only thing that I can do, just like I believe my friend Robert Reese did in the situation that we watched with an intoxicated driver who was going through a very tough personal time. Obviously, he did the best and the only thing he could do. And we'll leave it at that. It's been a pleasure spending time with you. Thank you, Robert Reese, for sharing your show with me and sharing this rebroadcast with me. Friends, I'll see you all again sooner rather than later if we're all so fortunate. I hope we are. Have a great rest of the Sunday.